A kid should not be able to chemically castrate themselves because they're going through a phase of something they saw on TikTok. Puberty is not the problem. Puberty is the solution. So, wait until you're 18 to want to start to take TRT, because you can make a very big mistake. This is why tattoos are illegal. This is why we do not allow kids to make irreversible decisions. Puberty is not a problem where you press a button and all of a sudden you can resume it or you could stop it. Puberty is something that is an unbroken chain, and as soon as you introduce hormones, it could destroy you for the rest of your life. Look at the detransitioners like Chloe Cole that cannot have children now because she took hormone blockers and she went under gender-affirming care.
What's the percentage of people who detransition?
We know over 20. We actually don't know the number because the government's not transparent. 27,000 kids that we know of have actively expressed transition regret. There are 1,000 doctors right now, 1,000 doctors in litigation of kids that say, I regret and I was lied to by these butchers and these medieval witch doctors that put me under the knife and made money off of me, and I regret it. 1,000 doctors are currently being sued. Did you know that?
So I'm transgender. I wasn't previously aware that it was so easy to get gender-affirming care.
You can get it in 45 minutes or less.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. You can do a Zoom call with a doctor, say you're a different gender, and they will send you hormone replacement therapy. They will not put you through psychiatric care or psychological care. Transgenderism is a symptom of other underlying issues. Bipolar tendencies, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression. Instead, with kids, we shouldn't say, oh, we tell them that they have a body problem, when in reality they have a brain issue that they're dealing with that needs counseling and love and compassion. And guess what? Most kids grow out of it. You do not need drugs.
Untrue.
Yes, it is. In fact, according to the United Kingdom, according to the most liberal countries in the world, bipartisan left-wing studies show
Is
that
this the cast report?
Yeah, that's right.
The one that
funded by the NHS.
The one that got discredited. The one that she walked back away from.
Discredited? It's not discredited. It's now the standard bearer of Western medicine.
The cast report has been heavily decried by like every major
decredited by like the trans lobby. It's not decredited by anybody.
The trans lobby?
Yes.
That's a thing now?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, but you say you care about kids. Do you think that a 16-year-old ever might make a mistake?
Yes, obviously.
So then do you think 16-year-olds are more likely to make mistakes and get involved in fads and get involved in things that might be a problem than like a 20-year-old?
So you're trying to set me up. I don't think that being trans is like a fad or anything. We've been around for like forever. Like we can dig up our bones and see it. We can like read our stories.
Wait, but hold on. If it's not a fad, why is it that this is clustered in so many separate school districts across the country? And these are school districts where one person becomes trans and their friends becomes trans, and then that district has a high affiliation of trans identity. Why does it happen in cloisters and pockets amongst friend groups, particularly female, by the way? Why, if it's not a fad, why is that phenomenon that we've seen?
So, this might sound like a non sequitur, I swear. Have you heard of the rates of left-handedness over time? Have you seen that graph how it goes whoop?
Yes, you know the difference between left-handedness and trans care for youth? You don't have to take drugs if you're left-handed.
Here's the cool thing. You don't need to take drugs necessarily if you're trans either.
Yes,
also, the cool thing about being left-handed
and
being transgender is that it actually is something that you're born with.
Well, but you're not born with transgenderism. Transgenderism is a flawed social contagion that you absorb because of the environment around you.
Nazi rhetoric, social contagion.
Oh, Nazi rhetoric. When you lose a debate, call your opponent a Nazi instead of actually debating it.
I didn't call you a Nazi. I said that's something that Nazis say.
But let me ask you a question. Yeah, Hitler had a dog. Hitler was a vegetarian, went through this before.
He also drank water.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, do you? This is the most important question. What is objectively a woman?
Someone who identifies as a woman.
Okay, so that is not a definition. That is circular reasoning.
That's like a Green Bay Packers fan.
That's like saying a hat is something that looks like a hat. So you have to give a definition of what a woman is.
What is a chair, Charlie?
Well, a chair is what a human being sits on when answering questions from confused trans activists at University of North Texas.
Nice dig. What about
answer the question. Stools? Answer the question. What is a woman? You have to give an objective definition. You can't just circular it, right? You can't say a chair is what looks like a chair. You have to.
All language is fundamentally circular. You know.
Well, but all language is fundamentally.
It's an identity.
Hold on a second. All language is fundamentally definitional. So we have words that transcend history of right, wrong, good, evil, moral, unjust. So therefore, male, female. That distinction is what matters a lot in civilization. So therefore, what is a woman?
So you're gonna keep asking me the same question. I'm gonna keep answering. Anyone who identifies as a woman is a woman.
No, but you have to give me a definition of that. So let me ask it a different way. When is womanhood achieved?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, hold on.
Hold on.
But no,
I'm not taking
please,
questions.
please, yeah. But do you understand the importance of that question? Because you say that anyone who thinks they could be a woman, there must be then a moment when womanhood is accomplished.
When does someone become a man?
Well, you don't become a man, you are a man. I was born a man, XY chromosomes. So
0 years old, a man?
well, a boy. Okay, so you're talking about X, Y, or XX. Yes, a boy becomes a man through a series of development. Is that what you're saying, as far as like when a boy no longer becomes a man?
My point is that like for centuries, maybe millennia, I don't know. We've been like being like, what does it mean to be a man? There's all sorts of different like definitions. There's like a hit song where it's like how many rows must a man walk down before you can call him a man? Like
No, but that's not what I'm asking. The asking is an objective, because it is incumbent on trans activists, of which you are one, to say this is what a woman is and what a man is. And just saying it is one, someone thinks one, it doesn't actually answer the question. We're just going in circles, just using the term to define the question, to answer the question.
I guess just like, why does it matter?
Got it. So it matters because you come up with a shirt saying don't mess with trans kids, and I don't even know what a trans kid is, because you can't tell me what a woman or a man is, so I don't know who to mess with and not to mess with, because you can't tell me what a woman or a man is. And it matters also because if we do not have objective definitions in society, then all of a sudden you have men going in female locker rooms. You have men competing in female sports. And therefore,
this is already illegal.
well, it's not illegal. Riley Gaines lost the national championship to a biological male in the NCAA swimming championship.
Should have swam better.
Should have swam better against a man?
Sports agencies have been looking at this for like decades. This is settled science.
You guys see the cruelty of the trans agenda?
Yeah.
They're saying hold on. This is telling the women of America just
the Olympics made their decision like over 20 years ago.
Talking about the Olympics.
Hold on. I'm talking about the Olympics because they're a very respected like sports organization.
Not by me.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna keep talking anyways.
Okay,
Yeah.
but so.
Why did it take 20 years after trans people were allowed into the Olympics before one even qualified?
So, yeah, they shouldn't be.
Why did it take that long? That's not answering my question.
Great question, because more people are identifying as trans. Why do you think that there's a 13,000% increase in trans identification of youth? Have they always been that way, or is there a social contagion component?
I haven't seen that number. I don't know the exact statistics
It's a hockey
of it.
stick. Let me ask a question.
I have no doubts that it's going up.
Why do you think it's
relatively
going up?
quickly? It's because of relative social acceptance. The same thing as left-handedness.
So they've always been there, and now they're accepted. You don't think anything's
before
influencing
you
them?
used to kill us, and we used to closet ourselves.
Well, no, we never used to kill you. What used to happen
Yeah,
is
transgender
that
people were never killed. Yeah.
you know what used to happen is that people who think they were transgender would wait a little bit and get older and realize, oh, that was a phase, just like being a goth or cutting myself or listening to bad music. Transgenderism is a phase that we are making seem a medical condition in this country, putting a bunch of hormones on, throwing a bunch of medication, and guess what? Companies are making billions of dollars off of the suffering of trans youth, and it's evil, and it's wrong, and it's cruel.